The stars were cold that day. They always were in the deep black of space, but something felt different. Something felt wrong. General stood at the window of her shuttle, watching the massive space station grow larger as they approached. The Galactic Council station was the biggest structure in the known universe. It floated in neutral space, far from any planet or sun. This was where all the great races met to talk about peace and trade and laws. Was not alone. Behind her sat 4 other women. They were all generals of the Human Defense Force. Was the oldest, with gray hair and sharp eyes that had seen 100 battles. Was young but brilliant, known for her strategies that saved millions of lives. Sara was quiet and strong, a woman who led from the front and never asked her soldiers to do what she would not do herself, and was the diplomat among them, always seeking peace before war. These 5 women were the pride of humanity. They had defended Earth and all human colonies for decades. When the Galactic Council sent a message asking for them to come for peace talks, humanity celebrated. Finally, the galaxy would see humans as equals. "Something is not right," said. Her voice was low. She had fought too many battles to ignore her instincts. "The Council wants peace," replied. "We should give them a chance." Turned from the window, she looked at her friends, her sisters in arms. They had fought together, bled together, and buried too many friends together. She trusted them with her life. "We go in together," said. "We stay together. Whatever happens, we face it as one." The shuttle docked with a soft sound. The doors opened and the 5 generals walked out. Council guards waited for them. These guards were tall aliens with blue skin and 4 arms. They carried weapons but did not point them at the humans. Not yet. "Welcome, honored guests," one guard said. "The council awaits." They walked through long hallways. The station was full of aliens from many worlds. Some had scales, some had fur, some had no faces at all. They all stopped to stare at the human generals. Some looked curious. Others looked afraid. A few looked angry. The council chamber was huge. It was round, with seats rising up in circles like a stadium. Hundreds of aliens sat in those seats, representing hundreds of worlds. At the center was a raised platform where the 5 high counselors sat. These were the leaders of the 5 most powerful alien races in the galaxy. High Counselor was the speaker. He was old, with skin like dried leather and eyes that held no warmth. He had ruled the council for 200 years. He had watched humanity rise from a small species on a blue planet to a power that now controlled 50 star systems. He was afraid of them, they all were. "Generals of Earth," said, his voice echoed through the chamber. "You come to us in peace." Stepped forward. She was the leader of this group, chosen by Earth's government to speak for all humanity. "We come in peace," she said. "Humanity wants only friendship and fair trade. We have no desire for war." Smiled, it was not a kind smile. "Your words say peace, but your ships say war. You have built the largest fleet in the galaxy. You expand to new worlds every year. You breed faster than any other species. In 100 years, you have grown from nothing to a power that rivals our own." "We grow because we must survive," replied. "We build ships because the galaxy is dangerous. We mean no harm to any world that does not harm us." "And that is the problem," said. He stood up. "You are too dangerous. You grow too fast. You are too strong. The council has decided that humanity must be stopped." The chamber went silent, felt her heart turn cold. "What do you mean?" she asked. "We invited you here to send a message to your people," continued. "A message they will never forget." Guards stepped forward, dozens of them from all sides. They pointed weapons at the 5 generals, moved to fight but there were too many, looked for an escape but every door was blocked. Sara stood tall, ready to die on her feet, tried to speak, to negotiate, but no one listened. "You cannot do this," said. "We came under a flag of peace. This is against all galactic law." "We are the law," replied. "And we have decided that 5 dead generals are worth more than 5 living ones. Your deaths will show humanity that they are not as strong as they think." They were forced to their knees. The whole galaxy watched as the broadcast went live. Every human world, every colony, every ship in space received the signal. Billions of humans saw their heroes on their knees. Looked into the camera. She knew her people were watching. She knew her family was watching. Her daughter, just 18 years old, was watching somewhere on Earth. "Do not bow," said. Her voice was strong. "Do not break, remember us, remember what they did here today." The first shot killed. She fell without a sound, the diplomat who only wanted peace. The second shot killed Sara, the brave soldier who never retreated. The third took, the genius who had saved so many. The fourth ended, the veteran who had given her whole life to service. Was last, she looked at with eyes full of fire. "You have made a terrible mistake," she said. "Humanity does not forget. Humanity does not forgive. You have killed 5 women today. Tomorrow you will wish you had killed us all." The final shot echoed through the chamber. The broadcast ended. Across the galaxy, on 1,000 worlds and 1,000,000 ships, humanity watched in silence. Mothers held their children. Soldiers gripped their weapons. Leaders stared at their screens with horror and rage. On Earth, in a small house by the ocean, a young woman named watched her mother die. She was daughter. She had her mother's eyes and her mother's strength. She did not cry. She stood up, walked to her closet, and took out her military academy uniform. She put it on slowly, carefully. Then she looked in the mirror. "I will finish what you started," she whispered. The stars were cold that day, but in the hearts of every human, a fire was starting to burn. It would not stop until the galaxy itself was changed forever. The council thought they had sent a message. They were right, but they had not sent the message they intended. They had not shown humanity's weakness. They had awakened humanity's rage. Admiral was on the bridge of the HSS Vengeance when the transmission came. The ship was the largest battleship in the human fleet, home to 5,000 crew members and enough weapons to destroy a small moon. Had commanded it for 15 years. He had seen battles that would make other men go mad. He thought nothing could shock him anymore. He was wrong. The bridge went silent as the broadcast played on the main screen. Every officer stopped working. Every sound died. They watched as the 5 generals were forced to their knees. They watched as gave his speech. They watched as the shots were fired, one by one. When the broadcast ended, no one moved. No one spoke. The only sound was the soft hum of the ship's engines. His hands were shaking. He had known those women, had been his friend for 30 years. They had trained together, fought together, survived together. She had saved his life twice. He had never been able to repay her. Now he never would. "Sir," Lieutenant spoke softly. She was young, barely 25, with short black hair and worried eyes. "What do we do?" Took a deep breath. He forced his hands to stop shaking. He was an admiral. He was a leader. His people needed him to be strong. "Contact Earth Command," he said. His voice was steady, even though his heart was breaking. "Tell them the Vengeance awaits orders." The message was sent. The response came within minutes. It was from President himself. "All fleet commanders report to Earth immediately. Emergency session of the United Nations in 6 hours. This is not a drill." Ordered his ship to jump to light speed. The stars stretched into lines as the Vengeance tore through space toward home. Other ships joined them along the way. Destroyers, cruisers, carriers. The human fleet was gathering. On Earth, the world had stopped. Factories closed. Schools emptied. Everyone was watching the news, waiting for their leaders to speak. Some people cried. Some people screamed. Some people just sat in silence, unable to believe what they had seen. In Seoul, a young soldier named stood at attention in his barracks. He was 23 years old, a lieutenant in the ground forces. He had never seen real combat. He had joined the military because of General. She had been his hero since he was a child. Now she was dead. They killed them like animals, his friend said. His voice was thick with anger. They killed them for nothing. Not for nothing, replied. They killed them because they were afraid. They killed them because humanity is strong. What will we do? Looked at his friend. His eyes were hard. We will make them pay. The United Nations building in New York was surrounded by crowds. Millions of people had gathered, not just in New York but in every city on Earth. They carried signs with the faces of the 5 generals. They chanted their names. They demanded justice. Inside, every world leader was present. Presidents, prime ministers, kings and queens. Military commanders stood along the walls. Scientists, diplomats, and advisors filled every seat. At the center of it all stood President. He was 52 years old, with gray hair and a face lined by years of worry. He had led humanity through many crises, but nothing like this. Nothing could prepare anyone for this. My friends, he began. His voice was carried to every corner of the earth, to every colony, to every ship. Today we witnessed a crime. 5 of our finest were murdered in cold blood. They went to seek peace. They found only betrayal. He paused. The silence was complete. The Galactic Council has called us dangerous. They have called us a threat. They killed our generals to show us our place. His voice grew stronger. But they do not know us. They do not understand what it means to be human. Cheers erupted from the crowds outside. Inside, leaders nodded in agreement. We are not dangerous because we have ships or weapons. We are dangerous because we do not give up. We are dangerous because we protect our own. We are dangerous because when you hurt one of us, you hurt all of us. Admiral stood among the military commanders. He felt pride swelling in his chest. This was why he had served for 40 years. This was what humanity meant. The Council has made their choice, continued. Now we make ours. I am asking the United Nations to vote on a declaration of war, not a war of conquest, not a war for resources or territory, a war of justice, a war to show the galaxy that humanity will never bow. The vote was unanimous. Every nation, every colony, every human settlement agreed. War was declared within the hour. In the days that followed, the military moved faster than anyone thought possible. Factories that made cars began making tanks. Shipyards that built cargo vessels began building warships. Every man and woman who could hold a weapon was called to serve. Admiral was placed in command of the entire fleet. He stood on the bridge of the Vengeance, looking at the holographic map of the galaxy. Thousands of ships were gathering around Earth. More were coming from the colonies. It was the largest military force humanity had ever assembled. Sir, Lieutenant said, all fleet commanders are reporting in. We have over 2,000 ships ready for combat. How many more coming? Another 3,000 from the colonies. They will arrive within 2 weeks. Nodded 5,000 ships, more than the Council expected, more than anyone expected. But it was not enough. The Council had 10,000 ships from dozens of species. They had technology that humanity did not understand. They had been fighting wars for thousands of years. We need more than ships, said. We need something they won't expect. He called a meeting of his top officers. Commanders from every division gathered in the war room. Among them was a young woman with fierce eyes and familiar features. Her name was, she was General's daughter. She had enlisted the day her mother died. Her commanders had tried to keep her safe, to give her a desk job far from danger. She had refused. She demanded to fight. She demanded to be on the front lines. Looked at her. He saw in her face, in her stance, in her determination. What do we know about Council defenses? He asked. Their main fleet guards their core worlds, answered. She had studied every piece of intelligence they had. But they don't expect us to attack. They think we will hide. They think we will wait. Then we don't wait, said. We attack before they are ready. We hit them fast and hard. We show them that they made a mistake they cannot undo. The commanders agreed, plans were drawn, targets were chosen. The machine of war began to turn. On the last night before the fleet departed, Admiral stood alone on an observation deck. He looked at Earth, blue and green and beautiful. He thought about the 5 generals. He thought about all the people who would die in the war to come. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I'm sorry I couldn't protect you, but I promise you this. I will finish what they started. I will make them pay for every drop of blood." The stars seemed to shine brighter for a moment, as if somewhere, somehow, 5 brave women were watching, waiting, believing. The next morning, the fleet jumped to light speed. The war had begun. Commander Bora stood before the communication console on the bridge of the HSS Thunder. She was 40 years old, with scars on her face from battles long past and eyes that had seen too much death. She had served under General for 15 years, had taught her everything about war and about honor. Now was dead, and Bora had been chosen to deliver humanity's message to the galaxy. The Thunder was the fastest ship in the human fleet. It had jumped ahead of the main force, racing toward the border of Council space. Its mission was simple but important. Before the war truly began, humanity wanted the galaxy to know why they fought. "Are we ready?" Bora asked. "Yes, Commander," her communications officer replied. "We have connected to the Galactic Broadcast Network. Every world with a receiver will hear this message." Bora took a deep breath. She thought of the other generals, women she had respected and admired. She thought of their families, their children, their dreams that would never come true. She thought of the rage burning in her chest. "Begin transmission," she said. The lights on the console turned green. Bora was now speaking to billions of beings across thousands of worlds. Council species who had cheered when the generals died, neutral species who had watched in silence, and humans everywhere who waited for justice. "This message is for the Galactic Council and all who follow them," Bora began. Her voice was calm and clear. "My name is Commander Bora of the Human Defense Force. I speak for Earth and all human colonies." She paused, letting her words sink in. 12 days ago, you murdered 5 of our generals. They came to you in peace. They offered friendship. You executed them like criminals. You broadcast their deaths to the galaxy as a warning. In the council chamber, High Counselor watched the transmission with growing unease. He had expected humanity to cry and beg. He had expected them to negotiate. He had not expected this cold, controlled fury. "You thought you were sending a message," Bora continued. "You were right. But the message we received was not the one you intended. You did not teach us fear. You taught us that peace with you is impossible. You taught us that you see humans as less than animals. You taught us that you will kill us if we try to be your friends." On 1,000 human ships, soldiers gathered around screens to watch their commander speak. On Earth, families held each other close. In training camps across the colonies, new recruits stopped their exercises to listen. "So we will not try to be your friends anymore. We will not ask for peace. We will not negotiate. You have made your choice, and now you will live with it." Bora leaned forward. Her eyes burned with the fire of every human who had watched their heroes die. "We are coming for you. Not today, not tomorrow, but soon. We will come with every ship, every soldier, every weapon we have. We will not stop until justice is done." High Counselor felt something he had not felt in centuries. Fear. Real, deep fear. "You killed our sisters," Bora said. Her voice dropped to almost a whisper, but somehow it seemed louder than before. "Now we come for your stars. Prepare yourselves." The transmission ended. Across the galaxy, reactions varied. The council races panicked. Emergency meetings were called. Fleets were mobilized. Defense stations were put on high alert. They had expected humans to scatter and hide. Instead, humans were attacking. Neutral species watched with fascination. Many of them had been bullied by the Council for centuries. They had seen friends and allies crushed under Council rule. Now someone was finally standing up to them. Some neutral worlds began to whisper among themselves. Perhaps it was time to choose a side. On the human colony of New Sol, citizens gathered in the streets to celebrate. They cheered when Bora spoke. They cried when she mentioned the fallen generals. They raised their fists when she declared war. The mood was not happiness exactly. It was determination. It was unity. It was the feeling of a people who had found their purpose. Admiral received reports from across the fleet. Morale was at its highest point ever. Every soldier wanted to fight. Every pilot wanted to fly. Every crew member was ready to give everything for the mission. Commander Bora has done well, said. The galaxy knows we are serious. The Council is calling emergency sessions, Lieutenant reported. Our intelligence says they are scared. They should be. The human fleet moved through space like a great wave. 2,000 ships at first, then 3,000, then 4,000 as colony forces joined the main group. They traveled in tight formation, shields up, weapons ready. Lieutenant sat in his cabin on the troop carrier HSS Hope. He was writing a letter to his mother back on Earth. He did not know if he would survive the coming battles. He wanted her to know how much he loved her. Dear Mother, he wrote, by the time you read this, the war will have started. I do not know what will happen, but I want you to know that I am not afraid. I am proud to fight for humanity. I am proud to serve with the bravest people I have ever known. He paused, thinking of what else to say. The Council thinks we are weak. They think we will break. They do not understand us. Humans have always fought against impossible odds. We have always survived. We will survive this too. In another part of the ship, trained in the combat simulator, she had become one of the best pilots in the fleet in just 2 weeks. Her instructors said she had natural talent. She said she had good teachers. Every night she looked at a photo of her mother. It was taken years ago when was just a little girl. Her mother was smiling, holding her close. They looked happy. They had been happy. I miss you, whispered to the photo, but I will make you proud, I promise. The fleet reached the border of Council space on the 15th day. Beyond this point was enemy territory. Beyond this point, there was no turning back. Admiral called all commanders to a final meeting before the attack. Holographic images of captains and generals appeared around him. Some were old veterans like himself. Others were young officers who had never seen real combat. All of them looked ready. In a few hours we will cross into Council space, said. Many of you may not survive what comes next. I will not lie to you. The Council has more ships, more resources, more experience. By every measure, we should lose this war. He smiled grimly. But they made a mistake. They thought killing 5 women would break us. Instead, they united us. They gave us a reason to fight that is stronger than fear. They gave us a cause worth dying for. The commanders nodded. Some had tears in their eyes. None showed weakness. We fight for Sora, and we fight for every human who watched them die. We fight for every child who will grow up in a galaxy that respects us. Raised his hand. Today we cross the line. Today we begin a war that will change history. May our ancestors watch over us. May our children remember us. May our enemies learn to fear the name of humanity. Every commander raised their hand in salute. The fleet crossed the border. The war had truly begun. Behind them, the stars of human space seemed to glow a little brighter. Ahead, darkness waited, but humanity did not fear the darkness. They had learned long ago that the light comes from the darkest night, and they were about to shine brighter than anyone had ever seen. The Council expected negotiations. They expected humanity to make threats, then retreat. They expected to receive angry messages and demands for apologies. They had dealt with angry species before. They knew how to handle them. A show of force here, a broken treaty there, and most species learned their place. Humanity was different. Fleet Commander led the first attack. He had risen quickly through the ranks since the war began. His courage and his clever tactics had earned him respect from soldiers twice his age. Now he commanded a strike force of 50 ships, racing toward the Council mining colony of Prime. The colony was not a military target. It produced rare metals used in Council weapons and ship engines. Without these metals, the Council war machine would slow down. "All ships report ready," his second-in-command announced. Looked at the holographic display. The colony was defended by 20 Council warships. They were large and powerful, with weapons that could tear human ships apart. But they were not expecting an attack. Their shields were down. Their crews were relaxed. "Attack pattern Delta," ordered. "Hit them fast, hit them hard. Do not give them time to react." The human ships burst out of light speed right on top of the Council fleet. Missiles launched before the enemy could raise shields. Lasers cut through hulls like hot knives through butter. In less than 10 minutes, 15 Council ships were destroyed. The remaining 5 tried to flee. They were too slow. Pilots chased them down and finished them off. "Secure the colony," commanded. "No civilians are to be harmed. We are soldiers, not murderers." His troops landed on the planet's surface. They took control of the mining facilities. Council workers surrendered without a fight. They had expected to be killed. Instead, the humans gave them food and water and treated their wounded. Word of this spread quickly. The Council had told everyone that humans were monsters. The reality was very different. Meanwhile, Admiral led the main fleet toward the Council's first major military base. It was called a massive station surrounded by 200 warships. This would be the first real test of human strength. The Council commanders were confident. They had more ships. They had better weapons. They had centuries of war experience. How could these young humans possibly defeat them? They learned quickly. Human ships did not fight like Council ships. They did not form neat lines and exchange fire. They moved constantly, unpredictably. They attacked from above and below, from left and right. They coordinated perfectly, as if they shared one mind. "They are too fast," the Council commander shouted as another of his ships exploded. "We cannot track them all." "Sir, our shields are failing on the starboard side." "Sir, we have lost contact with the Eastern Fleet." The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, 170 Council ships were destroyed. Human losses were 42 ships. Itself was captured intact. Admiral walked through the conquered station. Council soldiers lay dead in the corridors. Their bodies would be treated with respect and returned to their families. Humans remembered what it meant to lose someone they loved. In the command center, he found a young Council officer still alive. The alien was wounded but breathing, knelt beside him. "Why?" the alien asked. His voice was weak. "Why do you fight so hard?" "Because you killed our sisters," replied simply. "Did you think we would forget?" The alien closed his eyes. "We were told humans were weak. We were told you would surrender." "You were told wrong." Medical teams took the wounded alien away. He would survive, made sure of it. This was not about revenge against individuals. This was about teaching the Council a lesson they would never forget. As weeks passed, more human victories followed. Colony after colony fell. Military bases crumbled. Council supply lines were cut. The great Council fleet was spread too thin, trying to defend everything at once. High Counselor watched the reports with growing horror. Everything was falling apart. Species that had been loyal to the Council for centuries were now refusing to fight. Some were even helping the humans. "How is this possible?" he demanded in a Council meeting. "They are just humans. They should have been crushed by now." "They fight differently than any enemy we have faced," another Counselor replied. "They do not care about territory or resources. They care only about winning. They sacrifice everything for victory." "Then we must sacrifice more." Ordered the Council's reserve fleet to mobilize. 10,000 ships, held back for emergencies. He sent them all toward human space, hopping to strike at Earth while the human fleet was away. But the humans had spies everywhere now. Friendly aliens, tired of council rule, passed information to human commanders, learned of the attack days before it happened. He split his fleet, half stayed to continue the offensive, half raced home to defend Earth. The Battle of Sol was the largest naval engagement in galactic history. 6,000 human ships faced 10,000 council ships in the space around Earth. The planet itself could be seen in the distance, blue and beautiful and worth protecting. Flew in this battle. Her small fighter danced between the massive warships, striking at weak points and escaping before the enemy could respond. She had become an ace pilot with more kills than anyone else her age. "This is for my mother," she whispered every time she fired her weapons. The battle lasted 3 days. Ships burned, stations exploded, thousands died on both sides, but slowly, steadily, the humans gained the advantage. Human ships were smaller but faster. Human crews were less experienced but more determined. Human commanders made mistakes but learned from them quickly, and humans fought with a fury that the Council could not match. On the 3rd day, the Council fleet broke. The survivors retreated, running back to Council space with their tails between their legs. They had come to destroy Earth. They left with less than half their ships. Admiral watched them go. His uniform was dirty and torn. He had not slept in 2 days, but there was a smile on his face. "They thought they could break us," he said. "They were wrong." "Sir," Lieutenant reported, "Council forces are collapsing on all fronts. Our offensive fleets have taken 4 more systems. Enemy commanders are surrendering in record numbers." The Council. In chaos. Reports say High Counselor has lost support from most member species. There is talk of rebellion. Nodded slowly. The plan was working. Not just the military plan, but the larger plan. The plan to show the galaxy that the Council was not invincible. The plan to inspire others to stand up. Across the galaxy, species that had been silent for centuries began to rise. Some joined the human side openly. Others simply refused to fight for the Council anymore. The great alliance that had built was cracking. 1 month after the Battle of Sol, human ships reached the outer defenses of Council Prime, the capital world, the seat of galactic government for 5,000 years. Led the vanguard. His strike force had grown from 50 ships to 500. They had won 20 battles together. They had become legends. "Commander," his pilot said, "we are entering Council Prime space. Enemy contact in 30 seconds. Looked at the planet on his screen. It was where the generals had died. It was where the war had started. "All ships," he commanded. "This is it. This is why we came. Remember our sisters. Remember our honor for humanity." "For humanity," 500 voices replied. The final battle had begun. The Council fell in exactly 93 days. 93 days from the moment the generals were killed to the moment High Counselor surrendered. It was the fastest collapse of a galactic power in recorded history. Admiral stood in the ruins of the Council chamber. This was the same room where and the others had died. The seats that once held hundreds of representatives were empty now. The walls were cracked from orbital bombardment. The great ceiling had collapsed, letting starlight shine through. But the platform at the center still stood. The place where had ordered the executions walked to it slowly. His boots echoed in the silence. "Sir," Commander Bora approached behind him. She had led the ground assault on Council Prime. Her troops had fought through the streets for 2 weeks, building by building, street by street. Now it was over. "High Counselor is ready for you." Nodded, "Bring him." Guards brought the old alien forward. Looked nothing like the powerful leader who had sentenced 5 generals to death. His robes were torn. His skin was pale. His 4 eyes, which had once held such contempt for humanity, now showed only fear. "You have won," said. His voice was barely a whisper. What more do you want? Justice replied. Justice, you have destroyed our fleets. You have conquered our worlds. You have killed millions of my people. What more justice could you possibly need? Stepped closer until he was looking directly into his eyes. You ask what more I need. I need you to understand. I need every species in this galaxy to understand. What you did was wrong, not because we were strong enough to fight back. It was wrong because those women came to you in peace. They trusted you, and you murdered them for nothing. Tried to speak but continued. You thought you were teaching us a lesson. You thought you were showing humanity its place, but you only showed us your fear. You only showed us that you are willing to commit any crime to stay in power. We were protecting our people, argued weakly. Humanity was growing too strong. We had to do something. You could have talked to us. You could have made real treaties, real friendships. Instead, you chose blood, and now you have paid for that choice. Outside, the sun was rising over Council Prime. For the first time in 5,000 years, it was rising on a world that was not ruled by the Council. Human ships filled the sky. Human soldiers patrolled the streets. Human flags flew from the tallest buildings. But this was not conquest, had made that clear from the beginning. Humanity did not want to rule the galaxy. They wanted something more important. Here is what will happen, announced. His voice was carried across the planet, across the system, across the galaxy. Every species listened. The Galactic Council is dissolved. Its laws are void. Its treaties are ended. Fell to his knees. In its place, we will build something new. Not a council ruled by the powerful over the weak. A true alliance of equals. Every species will have a voice. Every world will have rights. No one will be murdered for being different or growing too fast. Commander watched from nearby. He had fought in every major battle of the war. He had lost friends, lost soldiers who trusted him, but hearing these words made every sacrifice worth it. The 5 generals who died in this room will be honored, continued. Not just by humans, but by all species. They will be remembered as the ones who gave their lives for a better galaxy. Their names will be carved in stone on every world that joins our new alliance. Stood in the chamber as well. She wore the uniform of a captain now, the youngest captain in human history. She had earned every promotion through courage and skill. She looked at the platform where her mother had died. Tears ran down her face, but she did not look away. She had promised to finish what her mother started, and she had. Admiral said softly, "What happens to?" Looked at the defeated leader. Part of him wanted revenge. Part of him wanted to make suffer the way had suffered. But he remembered what had always taught him. Strength is not about hurting those who hurt you. Strength is about being better than them. He will face a fair trial, said. Representatives from every species will judge his crimes. If he is found guilty, he will be punished according to the new laws. Not our laws alone, the laws of the galaxy. It was not the revenge many humans wanted, but it was justice, real justice, the kind of justice that would last. In the months that followed, the galaxy changed more than it had in thousands of years. The new Galactic Alliance was formed with Earth as one of its founding members, not its ruler. Every species had equal representation. Every world had equal rights. Some former Council species refused to join at first. They were afraid or angry or proud. But slowly, one by one, they came. They saw that humanity truly meant what they said. They saw that the new alliance was better than anything they had known before. President addressed the first meeting of the Alliance Council. He stood where had once stood, but he looked nothing like the old tyrant. He looked like a man who wanted peace. "We gather today not as conquerors and conquered," he said. "We gather as equals. We gather to build a future where no species lives in fear, where no leader can murder innocents without consequence, where every child can look at the stars and dream of exploring them in peace." The representatives from 100 species applauded. Some had been enemies of humanity just months ago. Now they were partners in something greater than any of them could build alone. On Earth, the war heroes were welcomed home. Parades filled the streets of every city. Children waved flags and sang songs about the brave soldiers who had defended their world. Admiral retired 6 months after the war ended. He had given 40 years of his life to the military. He wanted to spend whatever years remained with his family. On his last day, he visited the memorial that had been built for the 5 generals. It stood on a hill overlooking the ocean, facing toward the stars. 5 statues of 5 women, standing tall and proud forever. Placed flowers at the base of statue. He stood there for a long time, saying nothing. "We did it," he finally whispered. "We finished what you started. The galaxy is free. Your sacrifice was not wasted." A wind blew from the ocean, carrying the smell of salt and flowers. For a moment could almost hear his voice, almost see her smile. He smiled back. "Rest now, my friend. Rest now, all of you. Humanity will take it from here." He walked away, leaving the statues watching over the world they had died to protect. Years passed. Generations grew up knowing nothing of the war except stories. The alliance grew stronger. Species that had once feared humans now called them friends. Trade flourished. Knowledge was shared. The galaxy became something that no one had ever thought possible. And it all started because 5 women refused to bow. In history books, the war was given many names. Some called it the Human War. Others called it the War of Justice. But most people called it by a simpler name. The Reckoning. The day humanity showed the galaxy what happened when you hurt the wrong people. The stars were no longer cold. They were bright and warm and full of hope. And somewhere out there, in the endless black of space, 5 generals watched over the galaxy they had helped create. Their sacrifice had meant something. Humanity had made sure of that.